All right, so moving on to our next step. This is gauging well-being, our first frame to gauge well-being. And just by show of hands, or I guess I'll just invite, would anyone like to share how they would define the dominant narrative? Is anyone familiar with that term? In fact, I can't see everyone, so if you just want to, maybe I'll go to gallery. I'll go to gallery, yeah, okay, there we go. So yeah, by a show of hands, would anyone like to take a stab at what a dominant narrative is, or what our dominant narrative is? Or elements of our dominant narrative?
Seems to be having enough money.
Yeah, that's part of it. Financial abundance is a part of it. And before we jump into the elements, I'd like to define it a little bit because it's an important concept for what we're doing today. And there's a wonderful, I'm going to put resources. I have a link with resources that I'm using today, and I'm going to put that in the chat at the end, along with an evaluation. So you'll have all these resources. And Mary, if you want to email me, I will send you a actual two-sided needs list, because I bought 25 and was planning to send them today. So if you want to just email me, and I'll put my email.
Yeah, thank you. I'll give you my email.
Yeah, it'd be better if you emailed me, actually. Yeah, you can email me with that request. That would be awesome. I can do that. So dominant narrative, this is a quote from the Berkeley Belonging and Othering Institute, which is a really cool place. And what the dominant narrative is from their definition, it's prominent public stories, plots, and ways of organizing knowledge about history and society that shape how people make sense of their worlds and the position and potential of themselves and others. As dominant narratives, they are far-reaching, mainstreamed, and often unconscious or taken as common sense. So it's actually an act of resistance to the dominant narrative to name it as such and explore it in the way that we're doing today. And Barbara mentioned one element of that narrative. Financial abundance is something that's expected by that narrative. Other aspects are this mythology of individualistic achievement in our culture, the idea that we live in a meritocracy, exceptional self-reliance, resourcefulness, independence, hard work, and those make our country uniquely great. And another one that's really potent now is that contained within the dominant political narrative is a notion of freedom that has become deeply and increasingly bound up in a distrust toward government. Imagine that. I don't know how we got to that, but that's a significant place we are today. And that relates very much to the idea of a mass movement, because a mass movement is intended to pressure the government to act. And if we don't trust the government to act, that's another reason not to join the movement. And I see Katie had a ha on meritocracy. Her history is as a teacher with Teach for America, where they were looking very closely at how to upend that meritocracy and the privilege that so many folks have and so many don't. So that's the dominant narrative. So now that we got that out of the way, I want to move us into an exercise. And this is something where I'd invite you to get a piece of paper so you can write stuff down. And these are 5 elements of well-being defined by the Gallup polling organization. They have polled, I think, people in 120 countries, and they came up with these 5 measures. And I'm going to point out, as we go through each measure, what the dominant narrative, both what the dominant narrative is as it relates to this indicator of well-being, and what needs are related to it. So I'll invite you to answer the question that I offer and score each of these from 0 to 5, with 5 being the greatest well-being. All right. So starting with career well-being, we have the question there. Do you like how you occupy your time? And I know some of you folks are retired, so your career might now be going to Barb Shover's meetings that she's always putting forward to increase your well-being. And the dominant narrative piece is a successful person has a good, stable career. And the needs related here, connection, contribution, enjoyment, stimulation, purpose, and meaning. These are the aspects of life that this question's pointing at. And as I said, invite you to score yourself 0 to 5, with 5 being extremely high well-being. All right. By show of hands, does anybody need more time with that one? Okay, super, super. Moving on to the next one. This is social well-being. Are you satisfied with the relationships in your life? Friends, families, acquaintances? And the dominant narrative says a successful person has good relationships. And the needs that this question gets at, excuse me, these are love, connection, friendship, companionship, intimacy, all these interpersonal needs that are really central to our well-being. So again, invite you to score yourself out of 5, with 5 being extremely high well-being. And please raise your hand if you need more time with this one. All right, great. You guys are getting it. Appreciate it. Next is financial well-being. Are you satisfied with your economic life? Amount of debt, bank account, investment portfolio. And the dominant narrative, as Barbara had mentioned, a successful person has financial abundance. That's part of what we seek in this culture. And the needs met, some really important needs met by financial well-being: security, safety, freedom, autonomy, power, privilege. Financial privilege gives all of these things. And for me, I'm really experiencing this freedom part right now. And I kind of joked around with my wife because she took a leave from work and was inviting her to see it as a time of freedom from the shackles of our system, to not be working. So again, same request. Score yourself out of 5, with 5 being extremely high. So by show of hands, does anybody need more time on this one? All right, you guys are in the groove. Awesome. So next is our physical well-being. Do you have sufficient energy to get things done on a daily basis and are in generally good health? Our dominant narrative says a successful person is physically healthy. And needs related to this area are health, ease, peace, calm, freedom, autonomy. We could put power as well. If we have good physical well-being, we're able to exercise our influence in the world more. So again, your score out of 5, and I think you're getting this, so we can move to number 5, and number 5 is community well-being. Are you engaged with the area where you live? And certainly Barb is a connector that is helping people get this need met all the time with all her events. And our dominant narrative, a successful person is active in their community, and some of the needs that fall under this area are community, connection, acceptance, and contribution. So lastly, I invite you to score yourself on this list. And after you've scored if you've completed all of them, I'd like you to total your score. And I'll invite sharing about that in a moment here. So raise your hand if you need more time to total your score. All right, super. So, Katie, do you have a question, Katie?
No, I just needed a moment to tally my score.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm good.
Okay. You can put down your hand, Katie. All right. So I'll tell you, I had a 21. And would anyone like to share their score? Or you can write it in the chat, either way. Just unmute Carol if you want to share. Or Ellen, you can unmute.
23.
23, okay, for Barb. Ellen?
I had 25.
25. Everybody give her a
Yeah.
hand. Oh my gosh.
And
25 out of
all of
25.
this has to do with attitude.
Oh, ah. Oh,
I live
boy.
on Social Security and I have some savings, but to me, I'm financially secure. I feel that way. I feel I don't have a career at this point, but I am very active in wisdom seekers and very active in what we do is read interesting books together and grow spiritually and wisely. One of the books that we're reading is this one called The Power of Choice.
Hmm.
And it's written by about 45 different people each chapter. And it's very interesting. It has to do with raising the consciousness, raising your own consciousness, and then helping the rest of society raise their consciousness.
Wow.
And that's what I do.
Wonderful,
So
Ellen. Well, I just want to applaud you for making meanings that contribute to your well-being. And this is a
Yes.
whole nother class about how we make meanings about the world. And it's a great power to be able to make meanings that work for you no matter what's happening. So really
That's
applaud
right.
that.
That's right. Yes.
And Barb said
Yes, thank
23.
you.
Carol, would you like to share your number?
21.
21, okay. Anyone else want to share? I know it's kind of vulnerable to share your well-being.
I'm at 18.
18, Barbara, okay.
I'm in 18.
Another 18, okay.
I'm working on.
Yeah, Katie, go ahead.
I was down at 16 today, and I think a lot of that's influenced by physical well-being. And since I've
Yeah.
been sick a lot lately, it then took away the points I normally score in my career and occupational well-being.
Okay.
So that's hard. And just
Yeah.
realizing that that can fluctuate, and like Ellen said, a lot of it's how we look at things. And so looking at abundance rather than scarcity can help me. And I acknowledge that when not able to go out and contribute in my favorite way at work, that it's harder.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Katie. And I guess I will editorialize that Katie has upped my well-being on every single dimension. So just a celebration that she's here, and just being in the room ups my well-being. So just really happy you're here, Katie. And Linda, did you want to share yours? Are you frozen, Linda? Did everybody freeze? Everybody froze. Oh dear.
I will share that I was a 19, and definitely the woman who just last shared about the social, right, being in the community physically face to face was a lot of how my needs were met before. So and also with my challenges, the mask is quite a deterrent to social interaction. So I am seeking, healthy ways to be mask free in the community outside more. And yeah, working on my physical definitely. So anyway, thank you. I'm finished.
Oh, thanks, Susan. My internet just went down, so I've been gone for the last minute. So I missed whatever just happened, and Katie's is also not with us, so I imagine the same happened to her. But it sounds like everyone had relatively high well-being on this scale. I guess the next question, the one that we are going to be asking a lot today is this world working for you? And I'm going to make that rhetorical at this minute, but it would seem to me if we're scoring relatively high, the answer is probably yes, I would guess. And if we stopped here, then we would all go home and watch TV for the rest of the day, and the status quo would continue trumping along indefinitely until collapse. the dominant narrative is what keeps the status quo in place. So I'm going to invite us to go a little deeper with another analysis, another frame to gauge well-being.